chance to see today's episode either. So I really don't think it's good show for me to be talking about it myself. So we're going to actually skip
Actually,
that.
I enjoy when you're just talking about it. That's fine.
Uh,
Hey, I see that you got your Tron machine in the background.
Oh yeah. Ah yes.
How do you like it?
Oh man, I use it to fight for the users.
Fight for the users.
It's great. It's terrific.
That
First day.
was my video game when back in the day.
See, I got my two favorite video games from the '80s. I got Tron, and way back there, it's not lit up. I got the Star Wars machine.
Oh
Those
yeah.
were those were the two that if I saw them, I was like, ah man, give me a quarter.
Thank you, corner. All right, so we're live right now, and I guess we can kind of start whenever you're ready. Is everything in order?
No, it's another fun week. So just so you know, Joe, Chuck obviously usually runs the sound effects, and since he's in parts unknown at the moment, I am doing a workaround to see if I can make some stuff work for us. So if that goes south, we'll just wing it from there.
Okay.
All right. So other than that, I think we are ready to end. I'll introduce you after I introduce Craig, and we'll take it from there. You've got some stories to read in Subspace Chatter, Joe.
All right. I was just pulling up the notes here.
Okay. So we're going to cover about, I don't know what it is, like 5 or 6 stories, and then go into discussing episodes 2 and 3. I'm going to delete this so I don't forget. I'm going to delete even the reference to.
I have a feeling I think I may have picked the same catchphrase again.
Oh dear.
We'll see. I should have kept up with them all these.
Well, I tend to forget which ones you've done, so you can't trust me to be going, hey,
No.
that's a repeat.
It's like old man syndrome. Have I heard the story again? No, I'm gonna tell it again anyway.
And in the show notes, Joe, in case you need it, when we get down to discussing the stories, the episodes, so it's down below all the links to the stories we didn't cover. There is, I'm going to try to see if I can force it onto one page here. There is a table that I set up that has pictures of the characters and their names. So we've got all the
in case you need a cue or something, you know.
So I can't get quite everybody on one page, but most people. It's kind of awkward to not have that there. I'm going to bring that first batch back up.
You notice whatever happened to Dr. Tracy Pollard?
Yeah, she was referenced again this week and didn't see her. So my guess is that what they're doing is, because of all the COVID restrictions when they were filming the episode, is if we don't need somebody, if they just kind of would be like a walk-on for like a line, that's a lot to go through for that. So maybe we won't have them in the episode. And since, she obviously plays second fiddle to Culber, and Culber is featured prominently in all these episodes, I've got a feeling that they're trying to work around her as much as possible. Nothing against the actress, just strictly to not have more people on the set.
No, I just think it's funny. It's like we've only seen her like a few times. That's it. Period.
Saw her a fair amount. Was it last season? I think fair amount. I mean, I was surprised at how much we saw her.
She wasn't part of any story, though. I mean, she's like almost like a walk-on character.
No, that's true. She's kind of she's not even a Nurse Chapel in that regard. Nurse Chapel would have some story.
Yeah.
Shouldn't this Discovery have all new doctors though? Because there's got to be like 1,000 years worth of medical advances. It's like, shouldn't the doctors from 1,000 years prior be in school learning the new stuff and be like, here's the staff that's up to date?
Yeah, let's get an experienced doctor in here.
Yet apparently they didn't know what a splint was, right? Or was that Discovery where they didn't know what a splint was and it had to be explained to them what a splint was?
Right.
Gee, you would think that'd be something you would just learn.
All right.
Yeah,
Y'all ready?
doctors these days. We're all set.
Yeah. You're all set?
Yep.
I'm ready.
I'm sorry. I
Okay.
didn't mean to interrupt the banter.
So I guess there's no countdown because we're already going, right?
Hey, can you be on a Star Trek show with a baby Yoda shirt?
Well, yeah, because those movies are popular in Star Trek. They watch them.
That would be funny if like, oh, we're watching Star Wars tonight. Come on down to the galley, and
Well, my first wedding, my ex-wife, we got married at the Star Trek Experience, and
really?
somebody showed up at the Star Trek Experience dressed like Darth Vader, and one of the Ferengi,
It's always one of those guys.
yeah, one of the Ferengi was like, "I recognize you. You're from those comedy films, the Star Wars Follies."
Star Wars Follies. Yeah.
Okay,
so
well,
funny.
let us begin to commence.
All right.
All right, here we go. This is The Topic is Trek, episode 104 for Friday, December 10th, 2021. Coming up in this episode, another week, another premiere. Lots of disco episodes to discuss. We get a little crazy. All that and more right now on The Topic is Trek. So near and yet Navarre. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it. Sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed episode of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts here on The Topic is Trek, and beaming in to join me, as always, from parts unknown, is Mr. Craig Stepp.
That's right. Up your nose with a rubber hose.
I think we're going to beam you back out again now, because that
Yeah.
that one's already taken. Nice try.
And thank you, Craig. Good night.
And unfortunately, Mr. Chuck Tomasi was beamed to the Delta Quadrant. Whoopsie. We've been in contact, and he will most likely be fine as long as he avoids the murder planet Larry. But for this episode, playing the part of the third leg on our stool of Trek, and yes, that is a phrase that I just made up, is the host of Megapodtastic, Crazy Joe himself, Joe Fury. Say hello to Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, I'll see you your rubber hose and raise you a dynamite.
Oh my.
Wow, there you go.
It's getting all 80s in here all of a sudden.
That's right.
The topic is TNG. Well, thank you for joining us, Joe. I know that you were just out this evening enjoying some festive holiday lights. Which was pretty awesome.
I went to an event. I'm in the Philly area, and I went to an event. It was a big winter wonderland thing called Tinseltown, and I'm a little disappointed they didn't call it Philadelphia, like the like the Winter Festival in the Shazam movie. It's like why didn't you just call it Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Missed opportunity. Did you at least have snow? Because we got snow here, but it was gone by this afternoon.
No snow. But,
well.
But we saw Santa Gritty.
That's got to be scary. That's got to be one scary
the
thing.
kids were one of my daughters called him absolutely terrifying.
And rightly so.
Even regular Gritty is kind of terrifying. So, hey, if our listeners aren't familiar with your podcast, you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you do?
Yeah. We talk movies, pop culture. Both. There's a regular audio podcast that you can download once a week with wherever podcasts are sold. But
served.
They're not really sold. They're free. And
right.
also regular videos multiple times a week on YouTube.
That's mega
All under
podtastic, right?
Mega Podtastic. Yes.
I like when
yes.
I listen to it and I hear, I'm Crazy Joe, and this is Jacob. That's his big intro, Jacob. It's kind of funny. Anyway.
All right. Well, it's now time to start our first segment. But as you all know, before we can start our segment, we need to get the big okay from Charlie. So, Charlie, is it okay to do subspace chatter?
You don't need all that subspace chatter.
No, Charlie, once again, we've been over this 1,000 times, and I think it's going to be 1,001, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Charlie, turn the page.
Yes, exactly. A little bit of Bob Seger. Turn the page. Oh, we can't afford that song either. What am I doing?
No, yeah.
All right, let's begin. We're happy to report some news that broke after we recorded the last episode of The Topic is Trek.
It's the way it
Of
always
course,
works.
It always happens that way. As you'll recall,
Right.
when Viacom CBS negotiated with Netflix to bring Star Trek Discovery back under the Paramount Plus banner, if you will, waving that flag on Paramount Mountain, in international markets, there was a problem. Disco was immediately pulled from those markets and would not return until the Paramount Plus service debuted there in 2022. Oh, what fun. Parties were canceled, letters were written, the internet went ablaze. Well, the understandable outrage was hard for Viacom CBS executives to ignore if they ever log into the internet. They scrambled to find a solution
right.
and get the fix out to fans ASAP. After all, if you're trying to grow your audience, ticking them off is not really a good idea.
Right.
The first and most logical step was to make Discovery available immediately in markets that have Paramount Plus. Hello, yes, that seems good. That brought 24 markets throughout the Americas, Europe, and Australia, pardon me, Australia back online. They also offered Trek fans who did not already have the streaming service a 50% discount for the first 3 months of Paramount Plus.
I can see that you're getting choked up about it. It's a beautiful story.
It is indeed, and I found with a mute is on the microphone, so that works too.
Yeah.
And next, in 6 additional markets, Disco would appear on the free online Pluto TV service.
Mhm.
And finally, in the UK, Germany, France, Russia, South Korea, and several other countries, Viacom CBS made season 4 available for purchase on participating digital platforms. So yes, you'd have to buy for, single episodes if you really wanted to keep up with things until the streaming service became available. And I'm sure people did. The situation should have not occurred in the first place, but at least the powers that be were quick to realize their mistakes and rectify it. So thumbs down and thumbs up to Viacom CBS.
Yeah. Yeah, that was smart because I thought that as I mentioned in the episode, and I actually listened to our episode, I was like,
What?
the day after, I listened to our episode again. So I was thinking, you're going to have all these people on social media, and I don't know how much of the audience was out, but they were all of a sudden disenfranchised. So not everybody could talk about the episodes. And of course, you get those stupid stories that goes, so-and-so and so-and-so happened in last night's episode, all these spoilers in the titles. Somebody in Europe was going to get spoiled, or it's bound to happen. So I'm glad that they worked it out.
Yeah, it always amuses me that you have, for certain things, the entire internet says no spoilers for 2 weeks. And yet for other shows, apparently fair game. You can just spoil it right away. Don't even have to wait. Just do it.
Oh, yeah.
Make your headline on your article in fill the name of your online service here, right there, and just spoil it immediately.
That's why I hate the Netflix approach of dropping all episodes at once, because if you don't sit down and watch the whole season in one binge,
right,
then come, like, if they drop it on a Friday, Monday morning, you're going to see like headlines showing up like how the such and such scene came to be, and you're like, I didn't know there was a scene like that because I didn't get there yet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you do want to see them all in a row, but then you may watch them at a different speed than other people, and you end up getting screwed. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Guess just
Well,
stay off the internet.
That's right. Yeah, that women, but listen to the show and then stay off the internet, of course.
Yeah, stay on just long enough for us.
Absolutely. All right, next up.
Well, speaking of Paramount Plus, the service just announced 18 themed channels for the service. 18, including 24-hour streams for
Mhm.
SpongeBob SquarePants, Paw Patrol, because the kids love to be up at 3 a.m. watching Paw Patrol. You need a
Absolutely.
24-hour stream. Star Trek. And Star Trek. The channels are linear, meaning they function like broadcast TV station rather than on demand. This is, of course, similar to how the main feeds of Viacom CBS's free Pluto TV service works.
Mhm.
Other live channels will include shows pulled from Viacom CBS properties such as CBS, Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, and the Smithsonian Channel. At rollout, the channels will be commercial free on both the premium tiers for both the premium tier subscribers, those paying $9.99 a month, and the essentials tier, those paying $4.99 a month, as well as the legacy subscribers who pay $5.99 a month. There is, however, the possibility that commercials will roll out to all but the premium members somewhere down the road. And there's an article with a full breakdown on all the channels in the show notes for episode 104 at thetopicistrack.com.
Ding.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
I got it. I just
Though I
didn't
do have to
respond right away.
I do have to complain that I'm paying for the commercial free option of Paramount Plus, and they're now making me sit through commercials anyway for their other Paramount Plus shows.
Yes. I'm one of the legacy people, so I get commercials constantly for stuff. Although it's interesting, if you watch an episode of some Star Trek show, like if I watch Discovery and I watch it again later in the week, there's no commercials the second viewing.
They've already got you the one time.
So maybe the trick is to
Yeah.
put it on, don't watch it, and then
You
come
walk
back an
off
hour
and-
later and just, watch the show.
Yeah. Oh, you're hacking the system.
But yeah, I can I can see with the cross promotion is not going to be, taken
Mhm.
away. Yeah.
I do have to say, I like Pluto TV, and I like the same kind of channel thing that they have on Paramount Plus. I like it because it reminds me of traditional TV, where I go, okay, I just want to watch some Star Trek, and I really have no say on what episode's coming up next. It's not linear. It's kind of like listening to the radio. You get the next thing, you get the next thing. I
It's
like
kind of
that.
like that phenomenon of if you turn on network television and you're flipping through the dials or even cable, and a movie comes on that you have the DVD of right over there or someplace else,
Right.
you'll watch it with the commercials or whatever. And, it's like,
Oh.
but you could watch it just why? What are you doing? I don't know. It's just something about, well, it's on. I'm watching it. It's on.
I do that all the time. How about you, Joe? I'm sure you're like that too.
I have a tendency to, if I come across something on TV, like a movie that I love, I'll watch it up until the commercial, and then when the commercial comes on, I'll get frustrated and get the DVD, forward it to where I left off, and then watch the rest of it.
Wow. Okay. All right.
It's a combo approach. Very tricky. Very tricky. It's
It takes a little bit of time when
you're.
you're using VHS, though. But yeah,
It's like a triple Lutz of watching television. It's amazing.
right.
All right. What's next, Craig?
All right. Well, another Star Trek premiere is just around the corner. No.
What?
Yeah. No. It's not season 2 of Picard
Uh,
or season 1 of Strange New Worlds.
uh,
It isn't even the premiere of Section 31. Well, I doubt it would be, but okay. Anyways, so more on that later. This premiere is for a show most of you have already seen. That's because it's Star Trek Prodigy, which we've been talking about. It will debut on Nickelodeon on December 17th, which is just next week, really. Naturally, it will feature some of the same hour-long pilot, Lost and Found, that premiered on Disney Plus or Disney.
What?
Paramount Plus. All these pluses, man. Paramount Plus back in October on the 28th. However, it is not a clear indication that the 4 episodes that have already premiered online will immediately follow the 1-hour premiere on Nickelodeon. It was previously stated that Paramount Plus subscribers would receive new episodes of Prodigy ahead of Nickelodeon, with the next episode scheduled to stream in January 6th, 2022.
So, I mean, technically it's a premiere. It's a premiere for Nickelodeon and for
Mhm.
everybody that doesn't have Paramount Plus. So, I mean, I consider it a premiere. It'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of bump in discussion online about Prodigy
Mhm.
on the 17th, because you get a whole nother group of people seeing it for the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah. So what do you think about the show, Joe? I don't think we've ever heard of your opinion on it.
Prodigy.
Yeah, Prodigy.
It's good. I've been watching it with the kids. They're enjoying it too. But the issue I'm having with it, and it's something that we get a little bit down the road. I'm sure I'll pass. Early on, it doesn't feel like Star Trek, mainly because it's not a Starfleet crew. It's a bunch of randos who found a ship. So it's like
Right.
until we start seeing more Star Trek elements, like maybe more alien races that we know or something, it doesn't quite feel like Star Trek to me yet. I think that'll work itself out though.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and I think that when Chakotay shows up eventually, I think that will help, because he's not a hologram. Well, I don't know how he's going to appear on the show, but he's a member of a team of people with a Trill and an Andorian and so forth. So I think that will help things a bit.
Also, hologram Janeway is kind of dumb because she hasn't figured out that this isn't a Starfleet crew. Like, I mean, I know she's a hologram, but
Mhm.
like, we're used to the Doctor and Vic Fontaine. These guys were pretty swift. They knew what was going on around them. And holograph Janeway is just like, oh, you're a Starfleet crew. And it's like, you haven't
What
picked
would
up
what
on
would
the fact that
Janeway
they aren't?
do? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are of the opinion that she knows that they're not Starfleet, but at the same time, it is a non-Starfleet group of people who have come on the ship and commandeered it. So there are issues with that. The fact that maybe she's able to discern that they really have no clue what they're doing and these are just kids may influence that she might be, I don't want to say outright using them, but using what they need to do to get the ship back out of the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah,
Possibly.
true. Time will tell.
Time will tell
Yep,
indeed.
time will tell.
And speaking of time, that's a segue that probably won't work with my next story. But anyway, let's go with it.
It works for us.
Yeah, there we go. Speaking on Deadline.com's Hero Nation podcast, Star Trek executive producer Alex Kurtzman was asked about the possibility of doing crossovers between the
Mhm.
various Paramount Plus Star Trek shows. He responded that he had been thinking about the subject, but cautioned that crossovers are a double-edged sword. To quote, and I have a lot of ellipses in here to make this make sense as one paragraph, I think crossovers can be really, really exciting, but they have to exist for a reason, and it has to move both shows forward. Inevitably, it's coming, but I think we want to be intentional about doing something like that, because the flip side of doing a crossover wrong is that people are really disappointed and it impacts both shows. So it's just not a gamble that I would want to take randomly. I guess the most direct answer I can give you is it's on my mind, but I haven't thought about a specific yet. Sure, it can be argued that Captain Pike and Spock and Number One showing up on season 3 of Discovery is a crossover, but at the time they appeared on the show, the series Strange New Worlds had not even been announced. On the other hand, we're not as quick to brush off things like Seven of Nine working with Jean-Luc Picard, or the times that Riker, Troy, Tom Paris, and Q have interacted with the crews of the Cerritos. Now, I know those are not current shows on Paramount Plus, but I consider those crossovers because you have a
Mhm.
crossover to me is somebody from show X appearing on show Y, and it's within the same universe. So if you have somebody from Voyager appearing on Picard's series, I consider that a crossover.
Yeah. Yeah. And when they started asking the question about crossover, my first thought was the way they were been doing it on the Arrowverse and on the CW. I was like, oh no, I don't know if I want that.
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking about that more than say Marvel. I was thinking about the Arrowverse as it, and
Mhm.
they've done it really well,
Yeah, oh yeah,
and they've done it really poorly. And I think when they do it, and I think that it bears out what Kurtzman said. When you do it well, you generate a
Mhm.
lot of excitement for all the shows. When it's done wrong,
it
it
reeks.
hurts all the shows.
Yeah, you're right.
It also creates strange things in the crossover because they did a 4-hour 4-part crossover of all the Arrowverse shows, and they
Mhm.
concluded it with Iris and the Flash getting married one season. So as
Yeah.
a result, Iris and the Flash got married on another show, not on the Flash, because that hour breakdown was, I think, like Legends of Tomorrow or something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
you're right.
in the Crisis crossover, Grant Gustin's Flash met Ezra Miller's Flash on an episode of
Yeah,
Arrow.
that's
Right.
true. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, but to that point, they've also done it much better than that, where they've had every hour's worth of the main story, the key figure that's their show that they were
yeah,
showing it on. So, like I said, I think that you can do it well and you can do it poorly. And the Arrowverse, oddly enough, is an example of both things. It's amazing. Like, and they're doing another one, which I think is really weird. The topic is Arrowverse. That this season on the Flash, it's not billed as a crossover, but you're having all these characters from other shows in the Arrowverse that aren't even shows anymore,
Yeah,
that are still only showing up for an episode.
yeah.
So it's crossovers are weird. They really are weird. They're fun. They can be fun though. I'm looking
yeah.
for that crossover with the Cerritos and some other show though. That's the one I'm looking for.
Nah, I
Yeah.
was thinking it looked like Space Jam, where cartoon characters running around on a Starfleet ship.
Or you have to have the voice actors be the characters.
Well, you almost can, yeah. What were you gonna say,
Yeah,
Joe?
I've been wanting to see like just Boimler show up on a random episode of Picard. just because I love the fact that you would have to have a guy like Jean-Luc Picard who isn't, he's pretty much all business, and he teams up with a guy whose first name is Bradward. I mean, that's just
True.
But I would want to see Brad show up with the Picard plate to be signed.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, just randomly show. Hey, can you sign this? Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next story.
That would be me.
That's you,
Hey,
Bill.
hey, if you have a friend that just loves to talk to you about the blockchain and non-fungible tokens. Oh God, I just found out about these this week. At least now you can contribute something to the conversation. We have some news on not one, but two Star Trek NFTs. The first is a set of Funko digital pop cards featuring TOS characters, including the Big Seven, plus an Andorian, Gorn, Klingon, Orion, and Khan.
No.
At release, packs are selling for $9.99 each. I say were because the packs are sold out. Of course, you can now buy the NFTs on the secondary market, and we'll have a link to the full set of digital cards in the show notes for episode 104. Yeah, I actually just learned about these this week because I bought tickets to see Spider-Man, and they sent me an email saying, you get a Spider-Man NFT. And I said, what the heck is that?
Oh, really? Okay.
What was the? Do you know what the NFT was?
I don't know yet. I have to go to the screening and redeem my ticket before they send it to me.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
We're interested to hear what that is. Yeah, it's a strange concept, and as strange as it is, as I began to really understand that, the next story that Craig is going to start off on, it lost me. It completely lost me.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can. Let me see if I can reel you back in. So the second Trek NFT is actually a first. It's Roddenberry Entertainment has created an NFT of Gene Roddenberry's signature on the first ever contract for Star Trek from Lucille Ball's Desilu Productions. But what makes this NFT unique is the fact that the signature of the man who created Star Trek will be stored on the DNA code of bacteria. Okay. As the bacteria replicates and duplicates itself, so will the NFT. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, you're losing me too. A supply of 1 billion in one night. But wait, you say, if there are billions, how can this NFT be unique? Well, according to the creators, Roddenberry Entertainment, this is the first ever living ecological NFT. The sample was freeze dried after 10 hours of embedding the code. Those are some words I never thought would be put together there: code and freeze dried, and even embedding.
Just don't
The creator,
take it for your coffee. That's all.
yeah. The creators say this leaves the door open for reanimation. I saw that movie in the future, as at which time the bacteria will be again able to replicate itself.
According to the creators, the Star Trek NFT will be carbon neutral, if not carbon negative, since it's minted using bacteria. Moreover, the Star Trek NFT is being placed on the Solana blockchain. Solana uses the proof of stake validation method rather than the proof of work method currently employed by Ethereum. According to Digiconomist, which researches the unintended consequences of digital trends, a single transaction on the Ethereum blockchain uses as much electricity as the average US household consumes over the course of nearly a week. Meanwhile, a single transaction on Solana only uses as much power as 2 Google searches. So, who followed that story? Because I had to condense that and I was struggling. So I understand the part about the network of the blockchain part of it, because I don't, well, Joe, you just being familiar with this now, one of the problems with this whole technology is that there's so much math involved that you have to have special graphics cards and high-end computers to do all the work that's necessary to both mine Bitcoin and to, when you do a transaction, it has to be replicated and there has to be all this double checking and triple checking, which is the benefit of the blockchain, is that it doesn't exist in one place. It's all over the place, but that takes tons and tons of energy. And so that is, I think that is the method that is what the proof of work method. And apparently this other one uses a proof of stake validation, which I'm not sure. That's STAKE, not
STEAK.
Exactly. But apparently that is way less intensive on energy. So that part I understood, but encoding the NFT in the DNA of bacteria, I don't understand that.
My thought is, if it's replicating like that, doesn't it kind of devalue what you're buying?
Yeah, well, that's that's what they were saying, is that what makes it unique and what makes it valuable. It sounded like from the article, which is why I left that in there, is that they were claiming that one of the things that makes it unique, no matter how many they produce, it's the first. So
Yeah.
if you're the kind of completist who wants the first of everything, especially want the first of everything in Star Trek, then you want the first ever DNA encoded NFT. And as a bonus, it's Gene Roddenberry's signature on his Desilu contract from 1965. I guess that's, I guess.
What are your deep thoughts, Joe?
This whole thing reminds me of, you've seen the movie Trekkies, right? The documentary Trekkies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You remember when there's a scene in Trekkies where the auctioneer from a convention talks about how John Delancey was sick and was drinking out of a glass, and someone decided
vaguely
to bid on the Q virus. This is what this sounds like to me.
Oh,
We got, oh, look, you got a piece of bacteria that's got Gene Roddenberry's signature on it. That's like just what seems to me like the next step from the guy who was bidden on the Q virus.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out. How do you prove that bacteria has that encoded in its DNA? What computer intensive process are you going to have to go through to go, hey, wait a second, this doesn't have that in its DNA?
Well, you
Yeah.
can't prove it. It takes faith of the heart.
Oh. Well, then I
I was
definitely
just,
won't. No,
I was just thinking you're going to get that call one night that the bacteria got escaped the lab, and then we got a bigger problem.
or someone unplugged the refrigerator. That's another problem.
It's a horror movie where there's like a virus going around and everyone's being infected with Gene Roddenberry's autograph.
What's that on your forehead? It's Gene Roddenberry written.
Sorry, is it showing up again? I put some cream on that. It went away for a bit.
Oh, man.
My goodness. All right. Well, with that, it's time to come to the favorite part of the show for me. As always, it's time when I get to say goodbye, Charlie.
I want to stay.
All right. Now we're going to cover some quick news from Vulcan, Alberta, Canada. And again, we do not have any Star Trek news, but I want to point out that there is a request out there to still keep Vulcan, Alberta, Canada in our thoughts and in our minds. And so this is the interesting story that I came up with, that there were a few scary moments recently when a Canadian Pacific freight train derailed in Vulcan County.
Whoa.
The accident, which occurred around 1:30 a.m., involved 39 cars carrying residual amounts of liquid petroleum or ammonia.
Whoa.
Fortunately, no residents had to leave the area, and Canadian Pacific added that there were no injuries and crews were immediately dispatched to the area. So that's a lot of excitement. It has nothing to do with Star Trek. Again, I must point out, but
Only in name only.
yes, that's true. So on
Yeah.
Vulcan, there was a train accident on Vulcan. I guess that's how you take away from that. Now, we covered a lot of stories during our subspace chatter. However, we have links to an additional 37 stories, and they're broken out by series and by movies and other categories. You'll find everything from a video that disproves the assumption that Data cannot use contractions
Mhm.
to a look at the company that is producing all those Star Trek adult beverages and a lot
Okay.
more. Just go over to the show notes for episode 104 over at the topic is trek.com. All right. That said, we're going to head out on our main mission with an appropriate sound effect. Let's see. How about sure, that works.
Joe's dead, Jim.
Yeah, I've no one to blame if the sound effects are bad this time around, because I'm the one running them from my phone.
That's right. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk about episodes 2 and 3 of Star Trek Discovery. We'll be talking about episode 4 and however many more before our next episode when we do our next topic is Trek. But for tonight, we're talking about episodes 2 and 3. So I'm going to have, we'll treat them kind of as like a group. Maybe we'll go through the synopsis first, and then we'll talk about them and see where the conversation goes from there. So, Craig, why don't you give us the little lowdown on the first episode?
All right. So the first one we would talk about tonight is called Anomaly. It was written by Anne Saunders, and Galanese Mullins, and directed by Olatunde Usunami.
Unsunsamni.
Yes, what you said.
Yeah.
And the crew of the Discovery is tasked with investigating the anomaly that destroyed the I can never say that stupid Quajon. Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say many words. Book is having trouble dealing with the loss of his homeworld. Saru returns to the ship while still serving as a member of his village on Kaminar, and a synthetic body is being prepared for a Greytal.
Okay. And our second episode, Joe, do you want to give us the lowdown on that one?
Sure. It's called Choose to Live. It was written by Terry Hughes Burton, directed by Christopher J. Byrne. And Burnham and Tilly become excuse me. Burnham and Tilly become part of a joint mission with the Quat Mala. They must apprehend a member of the order, a nun named Javini, who is accused of killing a Starfleet officer during a dilithium robbery. Stamets travels to Nivar to consult with the Science Institute about the dark matter anomaly, and Graytal begins his integration into his synthetic body.
So there we go. We got a lot of moving parts in these 2 episodes. I'm finding that the stories are really long thread this season, that
Mhm.
almost everything that's going on doesn't get wrapped up in a single episode. You have events that happen, but
Yes, a few things get wrapped up, but yeah, the long story arcs are continuing, of course.
right, we have book story that's going throughout, and Tilly's story that's going throughout, and obviously this what's happening with Grey Tall is again going throughout. So it's interesting to watch as it evolves further into that same thing that I was finding with Prodigy. That Prodigy is almost, well, actually is one story just broken up by credits. That
Yeah,
an
yeah,
episode ends, the next one begins exactly there, exactly after that. And it seems like Discovery is in that same model this time around. So let's talk about Book for a bit here, since
yeah.
this is one of the main things here. Book is having a real tough time, which I find interesting because you haven't had that before with experiences of people's homeworlds being destroyed. We had, so I'm thinking first of all of Star Wars. There just isn't a lot of time spent on the fact that the planet is gone. Just to kind of,
Calderon.
yeah, just kind of mention, and everybody's sad for a second, and then
They
they
spoke for
move
a couple of
on.
minutes, and that's about it.
Spock in the Kelvin timeline, he was having issues. He inside the volcano, he was having a lot of issues. But you didn't get to really, for the most part, see his grief, because being a Vulcan, a lot of that was hidden. And so here we have a case of a humanoid type person dealing with the destruction of everything that they've known is just gone, and how they are not dealing with that. What's your impression about, do you have sympathy for Book and the way this is being handled? Do you feel it's being dragged out? What are your thoughts on it?
Go ahead, Joe.
I have sympathy for the character, but the one issue I have with it is, we really know Quajon? I mean, we saw it, a couple times last season, but it's not really a world that we've spent any time on, or any significant amount of time. Like when Vulcan was destroyed in the first Kelvin movie, it was like, oh my god, they destroyed Vulcan. Like that had weight to it. But I don't really feel much for Quajon because I don't really know Quajon. It's, I mean, it's, sympathy for the character, but I don't know. I think maybe the writers, if they wanted to really elicit a response, it should have been a world we have some kind of connection with, I think.
Hmm. Hmm. Do you
Yeah,
think that would be dipping into that Kelvin timeline trough a bit deep, though, to make it like,
Maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't know. I feel bad, but I don't know. Some of the season 3 characters that were introduced that have now carried over into season 4, I don't know. Like the whole Quajon race, I don't feel that they're very well defined either, because it's like, well, they got
Mhm.
these like emotion powers, and I don't feel that I fully understand them.
Right, right. You didn't get on the planet itself when we had that two-parter one with the Emerald Chain.
hmm,
A lot of the time was just a conflict between Book and his brother.
Right.
So
yeah.
of
They
course, they're
were
arguing
fighting
about,
most of it.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
arguing, but and fisticuffs and whatever, but you didn't get a sense of, okay, but what is Quajon actually like? You only get a tiny bit of that when they get the moths or whatever they were to leave the forest. But other than that, you don't really get that strong sense of anything. And they try to go at it again, obviously in the first episode, where you have this little ceremony that's taking place, which really felt underwhelming as a ceremony. You kind of
Yeah.
kneel down, when you do this little thing. It's very intimate, but it didn't seem to carry enough weight by itself.
Hmm.
So I feel like you're right, Joe, that what Book is going through, if it had been a planet that we were very familiar with, I think we'd sympathize with him and that plight and that weight that he's carrying a lot more, even if we knew a half dozen more inhabitants of Quajon.
If it had been Saru, if
Hmm.
Kaminar had been destroyed, it would have had more weight, I think.
Ooh, yeah. Wow. That would have been big.
Well, the season is still young. There's still hope for him.
Yeah. Maybe they should have destroyed SETI Alpha 5. That's a planet we're real familiar with. No. You know what? As you brought that up, I think I agree with you, Joe, is that I don't really care. I don't have an investment in that planet per se. And we only saw a few people from it besides Book. So we didn't get invested with anybody. And but I do feel for Book, because since we're not invested in the planet so much, we have to kind of extrapolate that through his experiences. And yes,
Yeah.
I do feel a loss from him, and you can see how it's affecting him. I'm down with it, but at the same time, you're right. It's kind of a one-sided thing. It's like I don't feel for the other side of the story, but for Book side, I do. And I think he's obviously having trouble dealing with it. And I can see that.
And speaking of having trouble dealing with things, you have Tilly, who is obviously reeling from the events that took place on the space station.
Mm-hmm.
It struck me as odd because I could be wrong about this, but I think she's been that close to death before. And I don't know whether it was something particular about the circumstances there, but something just kind of snapped in her when she was on this mission, and several of the people didn't make it back from the mission. So I don't know why that particular, obviously for plot, but trying to make sense of it in terms of the story, was there something significant about that? I don't think did anyone die when she was in charge of Discovery, when the Emerald Chain appeared?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that, but nobody I could think of.
Okay. So I don't know, perhaps under her command, if you will, although she wasn't clearly in command on the space station, but under her watch, this is the first real death that's been kind of,
Well, she was
her
literally
fault.
talking to the guy like 2 seconds ago, and then next thing you know, he's laying on the floor.
Right.
As she asserted herself. Remember, she asserted herself to him to try and calm him down. So we're going to get out of this. We got to work through this. And then he was gone. So maybe it's a little more personal to her because she was having a one-on-one with him, sort of.
And then we have this bizarre situation where Saru, trying to give Tilly what she wants of new experiences, because this is some advice from Dr. Culber, who I thought it was a very nice thing to suddenly have her say, I need some help. I'm not feeling well. This is not working. There's something wrong. And to actually ask for help, which I think is a very significant thing to have happened. But she then talks to Saru about it. And then Saru says, oh, why don't you, hey, Burnham, if you're going down and chasing after this person accused of, murdering a Starfleet officer, why don't you take Tilly along with you? Because she needs some new experiences.
Let's throw her back in the fire.
Yeah. that seemed like a really strange request for Saru to make, and a really strange request for Burnham to say, yeah, okay, that works.
Well, he thought that maybe she needed some new experience. She hasn't. He didn't have that intimate talk with her. Dr. Culper did, so he didn't know all the intricacies of what she's dealing with. So maybe she. I mean, he's like, maybe you remember they had that talk saying maybe she just needs some new experiences to get her out of her funk.
Mm.
So he knows one side of it. He's not privy to all of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, she did
Yeah.
tell him that Culber was the one telling her to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. Well, I don't know.
I'm sorry, what were you going to say? You were going to say something, Joe?
Oh no, I was just agreeing. And we did get those odd scenes of Tilly trying all the new foods.
Right. Find out that she doesn't like cheese.
Now I'm not sure what I think about her now.
Maybe she's just lactose intolerant, right? I mean,
that's her whole situation.
I see. She has an intolerance for cheese. Get her out of Starfleet immediately.
That's right. Maybe she needs syntha cheese, kind of to offset the.
It's like
effects
synthahol.
That's right.
So when Tilly goes down to the planet on the mission, first of all, she gets beaten up an awful lot, which is always good to encourage you to try new things. But I thought it was strange in the episode when Giovini has Burnham's mother by knife point and says, fix the engines. Tilly doesn't wait for Burnham to say, go ahead. She just walks off to do it. And I thought, that's a little strange. Wouldn't you really kind of look to your captain, your person in charge of the mission, about, well,
make sure that's what you want to do? Yeah. Well, you know what? I kind of thought the same thing, but I thought also that, since she's had a lot of experiences since she was a subordinate, now she's moving up the command chain. So maybe she had more confidence, just like, she's going to let me do it anyway. I mean,
cut out the middleman.
They've been working together for 1,000 years, for crying out loud. Kind of know what the other person's going to do.
Oh, you finished my sentences for me, Burnham.
That's right. Yeah. But I thought it was kind of strange. The whole little, was it a Mexican standoff? Not really, because you need three.
Well, I mean,
guns or multiple guns.
I mean, she just had a hostage, and they had to decide, well, either we're going to, accede to their demands or not. It's kind of simple as that. And they decided that, to try to find some middle ground once they knew what the deal was here. And then Burnham was able to fix a problem that apparently Giovini never bothered to look for, because before Tilly could get the engines back online, she'd solved the problem. And look, everyone's waking up.
That's right.
Oopsie.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Joe?
No, I feel like these episodes, do they feel faster paced to you? Like, I feel like these episodes aren't breathing. Like they're not. It's just like you mentioned, not even looking to your captain. It just seems like it's just go, 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 and they don't like take a moment.
Spoiler alert: next week's episode, or the one you guys haven't seen yet, episode 4. Very, very, very much the case there.
It's the whole time they're just breathing.
Well, it's weird because this episode, the second episode, Choose to Live, seemed like it was extra slow. Compared to the first and second episodes of the season, I don't know. Maybe because the threat was a bizarre one, and you didn't have all the information, and it just seemed to like bounce around all over the place. Your main mission is to go get this nun and bring her to justice. And you know where she is, and you go there, and you do the thing, and then you come back, and it's like that took an hour to do that.
Right. Well, they didn't have to travel there. They just jump. So
Oh, it's in
it was,
real time travel. Okay,
yeah.
that's what takes the time.
Yeah. Hmm.
I don't know. I think of the 3 episodes of the season that we talked about. I think Choose to Live really is the odd man out, that it doesn't seem to drive the plot forward all that much. I mean, yes,
Right.
you get this push to get Navarre back into the Federation, which was the president's of the Federation's plan all along, or at least one of the major things was to do this thing, and that will put us in the graces of Navarre, and they will be more inclined to rejoin the Federation. But it didn't seem to have enough danger or threat or weight of the mission itself to justify that as the outcome of it. You know, we
Yeah, I
bring
think they
back
tried
one
to make the.
person.
I think they tried to make the death of the Starfleet officer the weight of that. That okay, well now we need to go. We need to take care of this person because they then bring him to justice. But I think that's what you said, Clinton, was that the story Burnham and team were able to figure out a solution, which at the Quat Malat ninja, she wanted, if she was really truly into this situation, this no win scenario that she was trying to help out with, you think she'd take a few minutes and step back and say, okay, what's the larger problem here, and figure it out? Because she didn't seem like she was going guns blazing rather than trying to figure out the root of the problem.
And she knew how to get the drive going because she got the dilithium, brought it back, knew where to place it
Mm-hmm.
to get the engine back online. So she clearly had looked into the system somewhat and was familiar with how it operates.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't
So
know.
yeah, I'm
All
with you. This one didn't push the story forward for me.
All right, let's move on to talk about Saru. So Saru has returned to the Discovery. He's left, made the decision to leave Kaminar and come back to Starfleet, and he turns down a promotion. Well, not a promotion, but he turns down the captaincy of the USS Sojourner to become first officer on the Discovery, and is hereafter named Mr. Saru. But he still remains a member of that council in his village, and so has to dash off and do voting on things.
They can't vote remotely.
Well, I mean, no, he does it as an he does a Zoom call back to Cameron.
Yeah, Zoom call.
What's happening for
right.
that. But so I feel like this is another character having conflict in this season that's all internalized.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now he is back in Starfleet, yet he's still, in essence, attempting to stay super connected to Kaminar.
His heart's in two places.
Right.
Both hearts are in two different places.
Does he have two hearts?
I don't know how many hearts he has.
I lost track of the physiology here. Damn it, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. What are your thoughts on Saru this season?
It seems the only reason he left at the end of season 3 was so they would have an excuse to flip the roles of him and Burnham.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
they did the TV thing. And I say the TV thing because so many shows do this, where a season finale has a character leave, and they're like, "Oh, is he going to be back? I don't know." And then they come right back, like the next season. There's not even a gap. It's just, "Oh, I'm back."
Yeah.
It's like, well, that was kind of a anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was any secret. I mean, he's such a well-loved character. You know, they were, unless they killed him off
right
straight up, you knew he was coming back.
But frankly, that kid that he was there taking care of was so annoying. I'm sure. Yeah, who wouldn't want to go back to Starfleet?
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah,
Bye.
I've had enough of this. Yeah. I don't know. I love Saru, but yeah, that was kind of strange that why he left and he was back in like an episode. But I also think it's well, we talked about it a little bit too, how he's all of a sudden the wise one or whatever they called him.
Right.
Uh,
The elder, because
the
he is, but
elder.
he's over 1,000 years old. So I mean, geez,
Yeah, but he skipped over all those extra years
well,
to get there.
he audited a couple 900 years or so, but whatever.
Yeah. But then he comes on Discovery and he's also playing that role of supportive person to everyone, not just Burnham, but to
Mhm.
Tilly and whoever else he can talk to. Grey Tall, didn't he talk to Grey Tall?
I don't think he has
so.
yet.
I mean, not on this one, but anyway, he's playing the supporter role for everybody.
Mm.
I hope these. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say I hope these writers do something pretty quick with Gray, because that's a character who we don't know anything about him. I mean,
Right.
he spent last season as an imaginary friend who was only there every now and then. I
Right.
mean, he was basically, like
Snuffleupagus?
Yeah, he was like Snuffleupagus, but we saw more of Snuffleupagus. It's just. And now it's like, okay, now he's got a body. Okay, do something with him now. Give him some storylines. Something.
Give him a phaser. Send him out in the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But wait a minute. Yeah. It will be interesting because, I mean, he's not Starfleet, obviously, but he's on the Discovery. Is he going to leave Discovery? Or stay? I mean, because they don't have a civilian crew on this ship.
They got Book.
Well, they've
Yeah.
got Book, but Captain C has his privileges. But anyway, well, he's got his own.
Is that
ship,
what they're calling
so
it now? Okay.
he can contribute. He's got his own ship. He can
Mhm.
do things. But yeah, I don't know, because unless Gray has something specific that he needs to do, it'll be hard to justify him staying on the
He
ship.
has something to do with that mole.
Well, that's gone now. So
Yeah. That was the source of all this power. Now it's gone.
Whoopsie. Ooh, that's a
Actually, I thought
problem.
that was going to be a little plot point, so to speak, when they removed it. And then I thought Adira was going to be like, well, that was the one thing. That was one of the things I loved about you, what a little characteristic. But that never came back. I was waiting for that for him or her to say something about
You
that.
want to have a comic scene where, like 20 minutes later, she comes in where they come in and say he wants it back again, and then later on in the episode they come in and say he's changed his mind. He wants it gone again.
No, not more than once, but just that. Okay, now you're going to end up with this perfect body, and you're going to maybe leave or something. I want this because this is something that it's a personal characteristic of yourself that I don't know, just one of the, what I'm saying, one of those little things.
I liked that.
It's like having a girlfriend, and I'm girlfriend, and because we're all guys, that has like freckles, and she wants to get rid of the freckles, but it's something you really like. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
But I do like the fact that if you get a fresh start, and it's just something that annoys you, this little thing that no one else really necessarily notices all that much.
She getting caught on my sweater, and
that you go, yeah, I don't. Can we get rid of that? And somebody goes, sure, no problem. It's gone.
See, I'd be the opposite. I'd be like, add some hair on that thing.
See, well, it's altering. It's an alteration. You want the
I want witchy poo level hair on this.
Cousin It should be jealous when this is all done.
Want to look like Fabio.
Put a little mullet on it.
All right, well, let's talk about the big bad of the season, which is described as the DMA, the dark matter anomaly, which I thought was interesting because if you know your 2001, the monolith on the moon is the TMA, the
Ah, yeah.
Magnetic Anomaly.
Mhm.
We find out a lot of things that it isn't. We find out that it's not behaving the way they predict it's going to be behaving. We find out that it doesn't have this quality to make it this type of thing. We know that it's 5 light years across, which is a pretty darn big deal. I mean, you talk about V'ger being 82 AUs. This is 5 light years. So do we have any theories? I don't really know what to make of this. Does anybody have any theories or thoughts or
I have a really weird theory.
go
All right.
for it?
Oh man, this is so off base. I know, but I'm wondering if it has something to do with the humpback whales they brought back from the past. Only because when we saw one shot of the anomaly, it looked like a whale. The shape of it, it looked like a whale, and I saw that, and I'm like, that looks like a whale, and I can't imagine how it would fit, but I'm wondering if like the whales they brought back.
Transcended.
I don't know. I don't know. What I'm saying doesn't make any
George
sense.
and Gracie are back and they're pissed.
Yeah,
What I'm saying doesn't make any sense, and I recognize that. It's just based on they showed us one image, and I'm like, that looks like a whale.
I think they keep framing it as an eye.
Well, it's
Kind of
interesting
looks like an
because
eye a little bit.
there are shots with, I mean, it clearly is a black hole, and you have the opening credits. When you see a part of it, it definitely has the was it the occasion? No, the accretion
Yes.
rings to it that is indicates that it's a black hole. But then you have other things that say, well, it's not a black hole. It's not behaving like a black hole. It's not behaving like a binary black hole that that is merging, which is one of the theories that they had. And it changes direction on its own, and other weird things are going on with it. Like, do we feel like there's an intelligence at work here on this thing?
Well, I still have a theory, but you and Chuck told me not to use it yet. It's a prediction.
Right. You want to save that for predictions.
But
So,
I want to say it so bad.
well, if you have other predictions and you really want to say it, go ahead.
Oh, I got the go ahead.
Well, if you have other predictions you can do during the prediction show, then go ahead.
Clinton, you know me. I can make predictions all day long. Relevant or not, I don't know. I think I know. I have an idea, but I swear I want to say it, but you're messing with me. You're messing with me.
I'm not messing with you. I'm not messing with you. I just want to make sure we have content for the prediction show. And if you think you can come up with other predictions and you really, really, really want to say this one, go ahead.
See, you're messing with me. I can't.
Silence on the podcast.
I want to say it, but maybe if I save it for prediction as what I think is going to be the end of or the cause of all this. So
I tell you what, even if it's confirmed that what your prediction was going to be is negated by something in between, you can tell us your prediction, during the prediction show and say, this is just what was my theory about what was going to happen. Okay.
So I can say it now and say it again.
Sure.
Recycled predictions.
All right. Well, here you go. You ready?
And that's our show. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. And good night. All right. Remember in TNG when warp drive was a problem and it was causing anomalies in space?
Mm-hmm.
They're giving everybody this dilithium to start warping around.
So
I'm thinking that this has something to do with that. It's distorting space. Because they're starting to use warp drive again. And because they had mentioned earlier, they were working on a new version of the spore drive. So I have a feeling they're going to have to change gears and do away with warp and go with everybody start going spore stuff.
Right. Well, we had that during season 2, I think it was, where you had the mycelium network manifest to say you're destroying the mycelium network by doing all these jumps, which they haven't stopped doing still.
True.
Which surprised me because I thought, like way back in season 2, that the outcome was, oh yeah, we'll have to stop using this spore drive, and then they're like, keep it going.
Use it more.
Pedal to the metal. Let's go.
That's right.
Admiral Vance, bring it on. Bring it on. We got another mission. Come on.
That's right. Anyway, that's kind of my prediction, was that this may be caused by the increasing use of warp. But I don't know if that's going to play out right. But actually, to be honest with you, I had that prediction, 2 episodes ago, but y'all wouldn't let me say it. But I'm not sure I'm 100% behind it at this point because of what we've seen between now and then. But that's what I was thinking of. I watched that episode when they were like, okay, we got to tone down the warp usage because we're distorting space. And anyway, I just thought it kind of fit in.
Craig, you always have my permission to say whatever you want. You know, my only goal is to make sure we have stuff for the prediction show. So feel free to speak your mind whenever you have a thought.
Well, now that you said that.
Oh goodness, why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Thank you, Clinton. As a matter of fact,
I think it's time to come back from main mission now.
Good thing Chuck's not here because I got something to. I'm kidding.
Do we want to? We should rate these episodes, shouldn't we? Let's see. So for Anomaly, which is when they go off to investigate the anomaly, hence the name of the episode. We'll do a scale of 1 to 10 accretion clouds. How about that? 1 to 10 accretion clouds.
Okay.
As one is wanted to do. I will start with you, Craig. What do you think of Anomaly?
Anomaly, I'm going to give it probably a 7.5 because I think that they drug out the book thing a little too long. He kept seeing his little nephew, and it just seemed like the episode was just a little too long.
Okay.
But I did like Saru coming back. So,
all right. Yes, that's a
for what that's worth.
For you. All right. I'm going to give it a 7. I agree with a lot of what you said, Craig. I think that for me, it just the fact that they don't know what it is at the end of the episode without even an inkling says, ooh, this is going to get drug out a long time. And we just had that with the burn. So I don't know. I just have a feeling this is going to take a while to figure out. And I'm kind of burnt out on.
I was going to say, it's going to be a slow burn.
Yeah, exactly. And what about you, Joe?
I'm going to go with a 6. I don't know. I don't think we've had a truly great episode in season 4 yet that I've seen. And like you said, this anomaly thing, my worry is the burn. You know, one of the strengths of serialized storytelling is it keeps you coming back week after week. It keeps you really ready and excited for the next episode. But one of the downsides of serialized storytelling is if one aspect of the story doesn't land, you've kind of hurt your whole season. And I think that happened with the burn. The resolution of what the burn was really put a damper on season 3 for me. I'm like, there's a lot of good stuff in season 3, but I'm like, man, it's around this central mystery, and what a dopey reason for like it. So I'm a little nervous that we're going to have that again with the anomaly, quite frankly. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
There's another Kelpian yelling around, yelling.
Right. Can somebody just take a head count to make sure we're all accounted for this time? It'd be so much easier. All right, then let's move on to Choose to Live, which is our hunt for the Quatmalat who was doing nasty things with dilithium and so forth and so on. We'll go in reverse order with this one, and we're going to give this 1 to 10 Quatmalats. Okay, so
one's enough.
Why not?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 6 again. I didn't love it. It's not terrible. I hate the name Quat Malat. I'm not a fan of that name, but
Sounds
I
like
just want to
squat.
point out, Joe, that I was very proud of you because we kept saying anomaly, and I really expected you sometime during the episode to go beep beep bitty beep anomaly beep beep.
oh,
Beep, but you
I thought
didn't.
about it. I
Oh,
thought
okay.
about it.
All right. Very restrained of you, sir. Oh, all right. I will go with, I'm going to go actually lower than that. I'm going to go with a 5 on this one. I really thought
Ooh.
there were just too many things wrong with the episode. I thought that the main story just was underdeveloped, that there wasn't enough um threat. There wasn't gravitas to this mission. You know, she's going on a mission with her mother, and just for get one person. And yes, there were fights and deaths and so forth, but it just it landed flat for me. And I didn't have a watch on, but if I did have a watch on, I might be looking at my watch before the episode was over. So my least favorite episode of the season so far. All right, what about you, Craig?
I'm also going to give it a 6. I'm not going to quite go down to a 5 because I do like the Quat Malat. I mean, they're obvious badasses. We've seen it before in Picard. So I like that their inclusion in that, but the solution was too simplified, and of course all other problems that we talked about. So, yeah, and even Grey Tall's body thing is also being drug out. I'm like, put him in the body already, And even when they did, that ate up a lot of time, a lot of quiet time as we're watching him or wait. We're having a wake for for him to wake.
Oh,
So
wait.
yeah, wake. So I'm gonna say 6, but yeah, I kind of agree with that. A lot of what you both said.
Okay, well, kind of low points in this season of Discovery, and we'll just have to hope that things go up from here. And usually they start to ramp up as the season goes along. Suddenly things get to be, this is getting revealed, and that's getting revealed, and this is getting resolved. But still, there's this big thing that's going on. So hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be on a better trajectory when we talk about the next episodes. All right, time to come back from our main mission with an appropriate sound effect. What have I got here? I got. No, that's just
There
me
you
trying
go.
to push a button. That's all. No,
You
okay.
You finally hit the right button.
I did indeed. I think I had to wake up my phone. All right. Time for our quick warp speed roundtable before it's time to say goodbye. So let me give the setup for this. During the same Deadline.com interview we talked about earlier in the episode, Alex Kurtzman was asked about the Ever in Limbo Section 31 series.
Mm-hmm.
His answer was expectedly vague, saying only, quote, "We're in a very exciting place. I can't tell you anything yet, but it's still very much alive." Oh, close quote. However, questions remain about the possibility of the series ever getting in front of the cameras. The two Discovery writer producers working on the series have moved on to work on the Netflix series Sweet Tooth, and the obvious star of the show, Michelle Yeoh, is now extremely busy working on projects such as Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, filming multiple Avatar movies, and being featured in the Netflix miniseries The Witcher Blood Origin. So my question for this week is, do you think the Section 31 series will ever get made? All right, I'm going to go in the reverse order at this point, making my head spin again. So I'm going to start with you, Craig. Do you think that we will ever see a Section 31 series? And if you have a quick explanation of why you think yes or no, let us know.
I think it's just pretty much what you just said. Michelle Yeoh, who would be the headliner on that show, more than likely is pretty busy. So, to be honest with you, my interest is waning a little bit on this series. So, I don't really think it's going to come around.
Okay, so that's a no from you. You don't think it's going to ever get
Nope.
made?
I don't think it will. No, I mean, like I said, everybody's kind of moved on. What is there? What would be what's the point of it? I mean, I don't even know what the story would be, much less, like I said, the principal actors are kind of spread out and moved on. So, yeah, Michelle Yeoh, every time you turn around, she is in something. So, yes, I saw her. Yeah, I don't see how she's going to be able to in it. Not
Okay.
for a few years yet.
All right. I'm saying no because I think that it was a premise that when they tried to break it as a series, it wasn't working. And maybe they're still trying to tweak it somewhere behind the scenes, but I felt like the way they gave Michelle Yeoh her exit, Giorgio her exit, really confused things more than helped them because, well, where is she gone? Is she's back where Pike is? She's what's happening here?
Hmm.
And okay, we know what happens with Section 31 in the Age of Deep Space Nine. So if she's trying to make it positive, that clearly doesn't work because it's back to, as usual
Yeah.
by that point. So I don't know. My feeling is that it sounded like a good idea, and then we put it down on paper, and not so much. So I'm going to say no as well to it. Just that's my gut feeling. In addition to the fact that everyone seems to have like, oh, we're moving on for now, and
Yeah.
check back with us some other time.
Right.
How about you, Joe?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Because Alex Kurtzman says it's still alive, and what does he have to gain by keeping hope for a dead project alive? Like, what's in that for him? He's already
Mhm.
got multiple Trek shows out there. I don't see what's in it for him to keep teasing a thing that's not coming. I'll actually go a step further. He seems very, very enthusiastic in this, where he says it's still very much alive. Not just
Right.
alive, it's very much alive. I'm going to predict they already shot a backdoor pilot. I think we're going to see Giorgio reemerge in the 23rd century on an episode of Strange New World next year, and that's going to be our like
Oh,
backdoor pilot to lead into Section 31.
okay. You
Fair
changed my mind. I'm actually, yeah, but no, that sounds very plausible.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember. I didn't go back to watch the episode. Does it state where she goes back to? Because I had the impression that she goes back to essentially the Pike era, but I don't
Yeah,
remember if that's stated outright.
I
That
can't
was the
remember.
divergent point, wasn't it? Where they had to send her around there.
Yeah, I can't remember now because it's a year out, but I'm pretty sure they said she had to go back where she came from,
Okay, all right,
which
Yeah, because she
would
was getting pulled apart in the
right.
future. So I think it was. I assumed it was around that Pike-ish time.
right. Which to me makes sense because that's where you're going to have your other show existing. So even if it wasn't a backdoor pilot, still if you have interactions with her, that's
Mhm.
I think where you want to have things going on. So, all right, it will be interesting to see. I don't know when we'll see it because Kurtzman is obviously also thinking about a Starfleet Academy series, which has been an idea that's kicked around forever. I'm sure.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
been, at this point, it's like you've been saying Starfleet Academy series is a possibility since the 90s,
Right.
since
Oh
the
yeah.
Berman
Well,
era. It's like,
since the 80s, Harv Bennett was kicking around a Starfleet Academy series.
right. And I know that was an idea Gene Roddenberry hated. He used to at conventions call it like the equivalent of doing a police academy movie.
Mhm.
But I
Now
think we're
that
at
I
the
would pay money for.
only if we can get Michael Winslow as one of the instructors at the academy. But
Yes,
but
you
at
don't
this
get a
point,
phaser. It just sounds like one. So.
Freeze, you Klingon bastard.
just make it happen, man. Just make it happen so we could stop talking about it. We've been talking about it for 40 years now.
Yeah.
We're too old for Starfleet Academy now. Damn it. All right. Well, with that, it's time to refill the dilithium chamber and warp on out of here. And you can
Good
find
thing we
me.
got a supply of them.
Oh, yes. Well, I got some from the Quat Malot too. You don't need that supply anymore on the chip.
They cut you a deal. Okay.
Yeah. Shh. Don't talk about that though. All right. You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com, and on Twitter and MeWe and Instagram and Facebook. And I'm outside the room. Joe, shh, be very quiet.
Okay.
Let's see who speaks for you two. Craig,
I'm gonna
he
let. I'm
says
gonna let.
because it's in the show notes here. But
Actually, I'm gonna let Joe go first. He's our guest.
oh, what a gentleman! I was going to
Oh.
save him for last.
Yeah.
But you go right ahead, Joe.
Yeah, no, you can find me anywhere you find Mega Podtastic. Whether type it in your search field on YouTube, go to your podcatcher, just type in Mega Podtastic, all one word. You'll find me.
You and
Ye-
your co-host Jacob.
Jacob, Jacob of the J2H channel.
J2H. Okay.
Yes,
And then
yes.
you can find Chuck and myself anywhere, again, on the Googles and the internets. Just search for Technorama Podcast and you'll find us.
When you say you'll find us anywhere, I feel like we should be like, yeah, you'll find us anywhere at the pawn shop, at the
Could be. Yeah.
knockwurst stand.
Well, remember, we don't know what Chuck is at the moment. Remember, so could be
Yeah, we're going to be at the Jockey Lot this Saturday at 8 a.m.
Demolition Derby on Tuesday. All right, time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Craig, Joe, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't
Don't
put
put
on
on
the red
shirt. There you go. It's like we've been doing it a million times.
So close to getting it all done. So close.